Hi, in this video I want to talk about emotions, but I want to talk about emotions from a very new perspective, from a different perspective. So what I want to tell you about emotions is this. We experience emotions in varieties of ways and of course constantly, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week and every day in our lives. And experiencing emotions is a very constant thing. And it's okay if we experience positive emotions. It's really amazing, it's wonderful. But sometimes the problem is some people, on a usual basis, experience certain negative emotions. For instance, those who experience sadness quite often are called depressed, or people who experience different sorts of fear may experience excessive stress or anxiety, uh, or uh, or phobia or things like that. So we see people who are angry, we know people who are angry, certain people feel guilty very often after certain events and everything. And the perception of people about emotions is that they think negative emotions just happen to them. All right, many people feel that sadness happened to them, or anger is something that they have no control over. And you can just take this example and apply it in like varieties of ways in different people. But here's a very, very important thing. The point is that we individuals, we people, do not actually experience emotions as something that is coming out of nowhere. Initially in our life, there are certain times that we decide to feel certain emotions and to hold on to certain emotions and to keep them for varieties of reasons. So I want to give you a couple of examples to make it really easy, simple, and understandable for you. Let's imagine there is a newborn baby, all right, a baby boy. And let's imagine again that this baby has not experienced any example or any feeling of frustration. So in other words, for this baby, the nervous system, his mind hasn't, or his brain hasn't experienced frustration and anger as in this example. So let's say this baby is just 5 or 6 months old. So one day he wakes up and he starts crying because he's hungry, and nobody pays attention. He is hungry, so he cries and he cries and he cries, and after a couple of seconds or maybe a minute or so, he's gonna get frustrated because nobody's there and he wants attention, or he wants some food because he's hungry. Now, the moment he gets angry, something happens. His voice is different now, okay? He cries louder, and because of that, as a result of that frustration or anger and loud voice, somebody in the house or around him will notice that, and they will come and then they will attend to his needs. So if this happens for the very first time, just like in computers that we have folders, there will be a new folder created for that particular emotion or feeling that this boy or this baby is experiencing. And what was that? What we call anger or frustration. All right, so that's the first time. And let's say time goes by and time goes by, and this baby 1 year after that is a year and a half old. Now, this baby is playing with his toys, and there is another baby just in similar age or at same age playing along with him. And the other baby grabs the toy that he is holding out of his hand, and of course takes it out of his hand, and she or he plays with that. So in that moment, this baby may cry. So he may get sad, he may want mom or dad to come over there to help him. But it is possible that in that moment of playing that game, he gets angry momentarily, just for a moment, and what he will do is he's gonna push the other baby, or he's gonna grab the toy, or he's gonna hurt the other one physically and grabs it back. So what happens is he's gonna be really, really happy now, or okay at least. Now he's calm, he's okay, frustration and anger are both gone, and everything is cool now. Okay, perfect. Now, what happens after that? At the same time, the moment that this baby does that, for the second time, there will be another record or another file. Just again, in computers that we have folders and we have files there, the second file is going to be installed in that folder. All right? So let's say for another year, everything is okay. And let's say he's 3 years old now. All right? And he's sitting at the back of the car with parents going somewhere or going back home. And as they go home, he notices this sign of this arc sign of McDonald's, and he says, "I want ice cream." All right. In that moment, he says, "I want ice cream," but mom and dad do not want to buy ice cream for whatever reason, and they say, "No ice cream this time." And he cries, and he cries, and he cries, and it is possible that because of past references, that anger was useful for him. He gets angry, or it could be very random and he gets angry. So as he gets angry, his voice changes and his voice becomes very annoying, and parents are like kind of tired and exhausted and they don't want to hear that. And in order to like make everything under control or to keep him quiet, they're going to say, "Okay, you know what? Just drive over, get some ice cream and solve this problem." Okay, so the problem is resolved by parents. Everything looks okay, looks cool, but there is a big thing that is happening down there in the unconscious mind of the kid. And here's that. The kid is actually not consciously, but unconsciously learning something very important and valuable. To him is valuable. And here's the thing. What are the relationship between these three things that happen in which he got angry or frustrated? What was there and what happened there was this. This kid not thinks or feels, but of course it's definitely unconscious, at the unconscious level, that anger or frustration are not bad things. They are good. They are cool. Why? Because when I get angry, I have more control over my situations. Because when I get angry, people listen to me. Because when I get angry, I become the center of attention. Because when I get angry, people give me more attention, give me more love, they will attend to my needs, and they will not resist, they will listen to me. Isn't it the very, very same reason why many kids at age 4 or 5 learn to get angry all the time and they scream here and there for whatever they want? Haven't you noticed them? If not in your family, in other families, in shopping malls, at home, when they want something, they cry and they get angry. This is because their anger was rewarded, or all those instances of anger were rewarded in the past. And yes, this is something very scary because the kid is not aware of what's going on in the unconscious mind, but gradually that folder that we call the folder of anger or frustration is going to expand, get bigger, with more files, with more records, and all these records are time-based. This kid may not in the future know what happened in the past, but the unconscious knows when and where exactly what happened and how he felt. Now this kid becomes a teenager, and then a young adult, and then an adult, and then a parent. And now he's a parent and he doesn't know why he gets angry for whatever he wants. Because this pattern is very unconscious, because that folder is full of experiences and past references. And whenever this kid, or now as an adult, or this parent feels like something is getting out of his hands or out of his control, in order to control the situation, in order to boost his confidence, in order to apply his influence on other people, he's going to get angry or frustrated. And now it kind of makes sense to you. So here's what happens to people. This is an example, and of course I talked about one emotion, right? And for as long as that folder is there at the unconscious level, and for as long as this kid or this man thinks at the unconscious level that anger is good, he's going to repeat that. And this is why some people are tired of their anger or their frustration or their sadness or their guilt or their feeling of hurt and fear, but they don't know what to do with that. The main reason is that in those folders that we are having or we have installed in the past, there are certain conclusions that say this negative emotion is good because it is helpful from time to time when I need confidence, when I need love, when I need attention, when I need to control the situation, when I want to influence people, when I want to stop people from doing what I don't want them to do, and so on and so forth. And this is a very scary thing. At a surface level, yes, it is scary, but the good thing is there are solutions for that. And there are varieties of methods, including Gestalt therapy, there are varieties of therapy techniques. Positive psychology introduces or suggests a couple of wonderful techniques. With NLP, we can actually help that very much. And also there is a very, very interesting series of techniques that is called timeline therapy. So timeline therapy was introduced by Dr. Tad James, the founder of the American Board of NLP in 1980s. And he developed this method, and this method comes from hypnosis and hypnotherapy, and of course Gestalt therapy. And this is super, super amazing because it's very useful to change the conclusions of that folder. But before I talk about timeline therapy, and I will talk about it in another video, I want to give you another example so that you understand that all these negative emotions are kind of stuck in our unconscious level and we don't want to let them go. So I'm going to provide another example to you. Let's imagine that there is a party, that there are many parents, many couples, many people, and of course a group of kids that are running around, having fun, inside, outdoor, whatever, and they are just having fun and they're enjoying it. So as they are chasing each other, one of these kids just falls on the floor, all right, or trips, or she, let's say, hits the table or the door or the wall or something. And what happens is in that moment that she falls, of course, because there is pain in her body, she's going to cry. And the moment she cries, what will happen to the party? The party stops. They will stop the music. They will look at her. Everybody goes around her and she's crying so bad. And most probably relatives, closest relatives or parents take her, they hug her, they want to help her calm down, they may want to distract her. Somebody will offer some chocolate, somebody will give her some candy or ice cream, or they will take her outside to see the beauty, or they will talk to her, they will make jokes and everything in order to make her feel good. So for the first time, let's imagine this was the very first time that this girl experienced the emotion of hurt. And of course, because it was more of a sensation than emotion, but she was hurt as well. And as a result of that, the kid is going to create another folder, and this time we call this folder the hurt folder, all right, in which she records the first file, and that file explains the incident along with its timing and conclusions. But the conclusions are very important because to that kid, although hurt was hurtful and painful, there was something very interesting that happened after that that was very pleasant. The attention of others, the love of others. She became important again. In other words, she became significant and everybody paid her attention. Everybody gave her love. Everybody wanted to show her that she's lovely and everything. And of course, she got rewarded, right? So for that reason, if such a thing happens for this kid, it is possible that her unconscious mind concludes it this way. Hurt is not a bad thing. It is good. Why is it good? Because if I get hurt, mommy will give me attention. Dad will give me attention. Let's say time goes by, some time goes by, and in another day, she is like playing with her toys and she creates something, all right? Let's say she plays Lego and she takes this beautiful Lego, which is very simple, and goes to dad to show that how creative she is. And he says, hey, dad, you see what I've created? This is so beautiful. And dad is very busy with something. And dad may look or may not look and says, oh, so nice. Okay, and that's it. She didn't get that attention. She wanted that attention, but she didn't get it. So there wasn't much love there that she received. So she approaches mom because she wants that validation and confirmation from others or from parents to tell her that, wow, you're wonderful, that's amazing, you've done a good job. And mom is also busy with something else. All right, maybe both of them are working. And again, she goes back to dad, no attention. She goes to mom, no attention. And then as she's just going to her toys, she steps on one of the Legos and she hurts her feet, or she does something on purpose, maybe subconsciously, and she gets hurt again. All right? And the moment she gets hurt again, she's gonna cry. The moment she cries, what happens? Or let's say she goes back to her room to play with her older brother, and the brother does something that she doesn't like. So she's gonna cry for that. And the moment she cries, parents come over to the room, and mom or dad may scold the older brother, and they will give her attention and love and everything. So again, the unconscious is very smart in some way, and the unconscious says, so they didn't give me attention, but every time I cry, every time I feel hurt, my parents give me love, give me attention. So as a result of that, gradually, sooner or later, this girl learned something that is not so positive. Maybe it's okay for a kid, but as a grown-up, it's not good, because she becomes a teenager, then she grows older and older and older. And let's say she is 30 years old now, and whatever happens in her relationship, she gets hurt. Whatever happens between friends, she gets hurt. Whatever simple thing happens at workplace, she gets hurt. And she feels hurt. And she feels that this hurt comes from outside sources, while the main source of hurt was not outside, it was not from outside, but from inside. It came from those learnings that she installed in her unconscious program. And all of that is because of that folder, right? So in simple terms, I just wanted to use this metaphor or analogy of folders in computers so that you understand that. So in psychology, there is a term called Gestalt, which is originally a German word that came from Gestalt therapy and the work of Fritz Perls in 1940s. And these Gestalts include a lot of, or I better say all the past experiences that led to a certain emotion. So in other words, you individually have Gestalt for love, you have Gestalt for anger, you have Gestalt for sadness, you have Gestalt for fear, for guilt, for shame, for disappointment, for failure, for success, for confidence, for lack of confidence, for everything, for everything. And the unconscious is so clever, so beautifully designed to make it so distinctive, make it a clear distinction among every single emotion that we experience, whether they are positive or negative. So that's an important thing that I wanted to share with you about the origin or the origins of how these emotions are actually created, the origins of emotions. Now, here's another key point that many people may not notice or may not know about. It is possible that we experience certain negative emotions after birth until age 7. Why do we talk about age 7? Because from 0 to 7, as we experience life, we do not have that conscious mind totally in charge and in control or in place. At age 7, our unconscious mind, or I better say our conscious mind, our conscious mind kicks in and starts working, so become more observant of what we do and everything. However, until age 7, since we do not have that barrier, we do not have that filter or that shield that protects our beliefs and everything, The unconscious mind is so exposed to everything around us. This is why until age 7, kids are very suggestible. So they watch, they learn. They listen, they learn. You talk to them, they believe you. All right. After age 7, it's very difficult for kids to believe something different. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's not that possible. But prior to that age, it is possible. So the whole point about Gestalt and about emotions is that in order for us to get rid of certain negative emotions, as I told you in examples of frustration and anger, or sadness or fear or hurt or guilt or shame or feeling like failure and everything, in all of these scenarios, there has been one time in the past in which we experienced those emotions. All right? And if we really want to get rid of that, we need to find out when the very, very, very first time was. Because once you identify that very first time, you're able to change the outcome of that by revamping, by changing or reconsidering the conclusions that you had. In the example of anger or frustration, if that boy can realize, well, I'll talk about the how later in another video, but if the boy realizes that, or this man realizes that one day in the past when he was about 6 months old, he experienced frustration and anger, and he thought anger is a good thing, he can go to that time and he can change the whole thing. He can change the conclusions. Because for as long as your unconscious mind thinks that those negative emotions are good for you, are beneficial, you're going to experience them repeatedly, very often, very usually, always. And of course, that's scary. And my point is not that negative emotions are bad. I always say positive emotions are blessing and blessings for us. And negative emotions are also blessings for us if they come and they go. If they come, they serve us and they go. But if they come and they stay there, they're gonna make us suffer. And this is how people suffer through depression, through excessive fear, PTSD, phobia, feeling of guilt or shame or hurt, and so on and so forth. So that's it. And the last thing I want to tell you is this. It is also possible for us that our nervous system, our unconscious, our mind, our brain, our neurons in our body experience negative emotions during birth. And this is also very clear. It is possible that a newborn baby, while coming to this world, experiences fear, because for almost 9 months, the nervous system, these neurons were in a very, very safe place. Everything was very cool, everything was very calm. There was a heartbeat that was like a music, the sound of voice of mother, or maybe sometimes people were talking very nicely to him or her, and everything was good. But at time of birth, there is fear, because now this new creature is coming to a new world that is noisy, that is insecure, and he needs to grasp food, he needs to look for that, he needs to make some certain attempts for that. And that is a very, very important thing to consider. So it is possible that the root cause of some of our negative emotions go back to the time of birth. And also before that, there are many research and studies that suggest that during pregnancy, the fetus is going to experience the emotions that the mother experiences. And of course, there are a lot of studies on that, and there is no doubt about the credibility and validity of this suggestion or this claim. Besides that, in the last trimester of pregnancy, month 7, 8, and 9 of pregnancy, kids experience certain emotions, and almost all emotions that the parent, which is mother, experiences. All right? So we have to be also aware of that. But I will talk about the why. Why am I talking about that? So it is possible that the root cause of certain emotions that we are experiencing is related to after birth, or during birth, or before birth when we were in the womb. And also, the last one is it is possible that it comes from past generations. So it is possible that certain programs are passed down to us genealogically, all right, from past generations, because their genes and their DNA compositions are merged, and then something came to me, and it is possible that I have certain things in my genes. But some people get very scared of that and say, oh my God, that's very scary, because if that is the truth, I cannot change it. That is totally wrong and false. This is totally false. Why? Because we can change, because we are in charge and we are able to reprogram it. And here's another beautiful thing. Studies suggest that breakthroughs in human beings, any breakthrough or realizations, may change the compositions of our DNA. And what that means is we can not only change our character or even certain part of our temperament, all right, and especially our characters or certain traits, all right, it is also possible for us to change the composition of our DNAs. And as a result, it is possible for us to stop certain negative patterns from growing or going to the next generation. And this is what we can do. And definitely we can change our destiny. Change your mindset, transform your life.